Today we kick off another anime series with Mahoromatic. Much like Full Moon, this is a series that features an orphan and places the emphasis on day-in-the-life stuff, while at the same time having fantastical elements to them. Science fiction rather than fantasy, as in Full Moon's case. But other than that, the series really don't have a lot in common. At least it... How do I get into these situations? Alright, let's begin with episode 1, of course. Things start about as far from this as you might have imagined. An aerial view of a coastal city pockmarked by craters, and warehouses exploding while a narrator explains.
A messenger from outer space began the invasion of Earthmen at the outset of the 1980s.
And his name was Alf. During the fight, we see this woman kicking ass. All he needs is big guns and a sword, and he could be a 90s reboot of the Grim Reaper. Between her Panther associate and her power of Destroy Monster, they quickly take it down. Another victory for her and her organization, Vesper, which appreciates all that Mahoro has done here, and given that she's only got about 37 days left to live if she keeps on fighting, but if she were to retire, she could live almost 11 times as long, well, they suggest that she could possibly retire if she wanted to. She gets to choose her fate. And she chooses to leave and to pursue her dream. Oh yeah, and because it's a new anime series, let me remind you that this is another episode of Midwesterner Tries and Fails to Say Japanese Names. So pardon me if every once in a while Mahoro comes out as Mohoru or Moharu or Moharaharahara or whatever it is I try to get out of a mouth that it evolved in order to eat cheese and say Packers. So just bear with me. Anyway, this is when we meet Suguru and his two friends.
The outside of your place looks pretty good, I guess, but...
You're trying to tell me that inside of my house is nothing but a great big mess, right?
Hey, come on! It can't be easy for a middle school student to live all alone.
Yeah, really sounds like it ought to be illegal, actually. Shockingly, a teenage boy living alone has the place in a bit of a state, so he plans to hire a maid, and I guess that is perfectly normal. He's the Japanese Pippi Longstocking, I guess. He actually spots Mahoro on the bus wearing a maid outfit and can only imagine what it'd be like to have her as his live-in maid.
Master Suguru, wake up, it's morning. Please get up now.
Holy crap, they could talk! You've now seen why this is not like Full Moon, because that was about the tamest breast scene you're going to get this entire series. Really, it goes way beyond Kanazuki no Miko. Though in its defense, Mahoromatic uses breasts for fan service and comedy purposes. Breasts are here in a Benny Hill kind of way. You might not approve of what they're doing. In fact, you might be deeply offended. But at the very least, it's not Kanazuki no Miko, which looks at breasts in a, I'm looking for a missing Girl Scout and what's that strange smell coming from your attic kind of way. Creepy, piled on top of more creepy. His fantasy is rudely interrupted by a couple of bank robbers. They may be wielding a gun out in public, but hey, they are firm believers in reducing their carbon footprint by taking advantage of public transportation. Set the example.
We're not going to jail if I can help it. I'll slaughter everybody on this bus first.
I kill the bus driver. During the chaos, Mahoro helps quiet a little girl and gets pistol whipped for her trouble. Only it's like hitting a steel girder, so he goes back to bullying the bus driver, ready to shoot him in the head. Well, this calls for action, and so up steps Suguru? I admire your big brass balls, kid. I'm just not sure you're going to be able to do anything about what's going on here, but hey, I respect that you stepping up is going to buy the bus driver some more time, if only because that means you're the one who's going to get it now. Well, Mahoro isn't hardly going to stand by and let that happen either, so she steps up, and when he tries to shoot her, catches the bullets. Between her fingers, no less, for extra style. And then she karate chops the other robber who's driving the bus. That sounds like a good plan. A good plan with one downside, but nobody's perfect. Afterwards, she assures Suguru that she's fine. She used to be a combat android. So either androids are public knowledge, or she couldn't go 5 minutes without spilling a major cover-up to a teenage boy.
That girl said something about being a combat android. That's impossible.
Well, fortunately for Vesper, we're not dealing with Fox Mulder here. Back home, he finds Mahoro singing to his dog, one of the less well-known maid duties. Oh yes, she is his maid, sent by Vesper. They are quite diversified, you know, battling alien invaders and workforce placement services. Suguru is still skeptical, but decides to accept her story, though it begs the question of why she would decide to become a maid. But she puts it down to basically having something to do with her time. After much consideration, Suguru decides to go forward with it on a purely trial basis, although the trial seems to be more of an ordeal, in the traditional sense of the word, I mean. Suguru's place is like a hoarder in an earthquake zone. There is just nothing resembling order here, and everything involving, well, why don't we just burn it down and start all over again? She dives in, though, plus scrambling up some dinner from whatever's in the fridge that hasn't evolved enough to object. After that, when it's time for Suguru's bath...
What are you doing here?
I'm here to help. I'll scrub your back.
I get the feeling this is the Japanese equivalent of a girl with no money who gets a pizza delivered. Bath hijinks follow, prompting a flashback to little Suguru with his mother. He's talking to her about how he wants his dad to come home because he misses him. Plot point. When he comes to and sees Mahoro crying, he decides to make the contract official. So here we are, the plot is now in motion. Episode 2 picks up with this new situation starting to settle in. And as an aside, of all the anatomically correct things to draw on this dog, why did the animators settle on the butthole? Probably the easiest thing to draw, I suppose. But still, I think we could have done without that little attention to detail. At school, Suguru's friends from last time, and 3 new girls, are curious about this maid that's heaping these exquisite lunches upon him. But he insists that it's nothing special, in order to waylay their suspicions. Nope, nothing special about her at all. Yeah, that's nothing unusual. Most maids have driver's licenses. During her flight, we get our first look at the recurring character of Miss Shikijo, one of the teachers at Suguru's school, at the moment lamenting that she barely has food besides rice because she blew her budget on booze. And that will explain a great deal of what she does. She confronts Mahoro when the girl arrives on the roof of the school, too busy wallowing in self-pity to see how she managed to do it, but curious enough to bring Mahoro down to Suguru right in front of all of the curious friends.
Excuse me, but what exactly is your relationship with Suguru? What is our relationship? Let me see. I guess you could say that I give him my body and soul.
Not surprising, the Apple Factory expects that of all their employees. Everyone begins to get the impression that she's not a maid so much as a love slave, all except for Miss Shikijo, who doesn't think that it's going on now, but that it will happen eventually if these two are left living together, and she disapproves of that. For all the wrong reasons.
If they stay alone together under the same roof, their abundant youthfulness will eventually explode. This just isn't right. I'm the one who should be helping him and giving him up-close and personal private lessons. Ooh.
Teacher, I can't stand it any longer.
Be patient. It's vital that you master the basics.
Jesus fucking Christ. Can I just get through a goddamn anime series without worrying I'm going to jail just for watching it? While she's contemplating boning a 14-year-old, Suguru's getting pestered about Mahoro, and as he daydreams about how great things are going, he realizes that she's probably about to start on his room today, and he has an entire collection of big boob magazines under his bed. This inevitably leads to him racing to leave as soon as the bell rings.
Oh, my, aren't we an eager boy?
For any teen boys who are watching this at home, let me tell you, none of this will ever happen to you. No, really. If there is a hot, young, big-breasted teacher at your school, she does not want to have sex with you, no matter how much you wish it were so. In a series with androids and invading aliens, the most science fiction idea is that the geeky teen is uninterested while the hot teacher is obsessed. This is transporting through an ion storm mirror universe shit right there. So trust me, teen boys, you have a better chance of Marvel giving you a working Iron Man suit at Comic-Con than you do of having hot teacher do this. Well, Suguru doesn't make it home in time, and while she was nice enough to stack the magazines in a nice little pile for him to have easy access to, he's also subjected to a lecture about ogling breasts. Yeah, fine. Look, as long as I have porn at the end of this speech, you can just keep on going. After the break, we return to Mrs. Robinson also giving a speech about boobs. Unlike the lecture from Mahoru, though, it's more of, my boobs are great, my boobs are great. The fact that Suguru isn't showing any interest in them is driving her up the wall. Geez, what's a teacher got to do to get a little accusation of molestation around here, huh? Suguru is actually in a hurry to get home. Not because of porn again, though. Mahoru has been seen by everybody, so he's invited his friends over to see what things are actually like. Because, of course, the last thing a teenage boy would want is everyone at school to think that he is boning an attractive young woman all the time. No, that'd be horrible, wouldn't it? After snacks, they do this thing with wish paper. Thankfully, Mahoru has no idea what's going on, just like I don't know. So Suguru has to explain that you write down a wish, hang it on a bamboo branch, and it's supposed to come true. Suguru gets mocked for his wish, and then Mahoru knocks everyone to the floor with her wish, which I'm told is exactly the same as his. They both say world peace, indicating that the two are more alike than everyone might have thought. At least I'm hoping that's what it says. For all I know, that's actually Korean. It says, die fat American pigs. Miss Shikijo swings by also for a home visit, and it seems Suguru is more concerned about keeping Mahoru's cover than she is, so he has to jump in and help waylay concerns about her. After everybody leaves, though, Miss Shikijo sticks around and begins work on seducing him, which is admittedly not too difficult for a kid with a stack of big boob magazines that would be in danger of crushing a cat if they fell over. Mahoru interrupts for Suguru's bath, and after various arguments, well, somehow Mahoru and Miss Shikijo are sharing a bath naked together while Suguru is out in the hall, which I don't think is going to get him clean and is almost certainly making his thoughts very, very dirty. Miss Shikijo begins taunting her about her small breast size, so Mahoru finally responds the only way she could, by punching her in the tit. Obviously, I can't show you any of this stuff, but it's the internet. There's breasts aplenty out there if you want to find them. Seriously, you could find them if you're not even trying. It seems like this is a victory for Mahoru, but after she aborts a question that she was going to ask Suguru, and feeling her own breast on screen, she dreams that she outgrows Miss Shikijo until the teacher surrenders. The way all arguments should be solved, really. Not sure how much time passes when we get to episode 3. It could be the next morning. Mahoru is pretty exhausted, and we all know how boob boxing is tiring. But quickly it's back to her cleaning the house. Today's adventure will probably be finding his stash of weed. He's only going to school to get his report card today. It's mid-July, so he probably deserves a light day at school. This means that he's home to watch her, and she acts kind of flaky when he does that. She flips out at the idea of not wearing her maid outfit, even on hot days, and has trouble resisting the call to an afternoon nap.
They're multiplying! Baby birds! Baby birds! Baby birds!
With the utmost respect, I want to ask, what the fuck is going on? Okay, I guess it was all just a dream, and Suguru was the one who was actually dreaming. Guess I'm just thrown off because I'm trying to get a handle on the plot. We're about a third of the way into the episode, and the only thing I can really say is at least there are no dog anuses on display, and that is a plus right there. After grocery shopping, who's waiting on the doorstep of Miss Shikijo, who continues to annoy Mahoru with her demands and thinly veiled remarks about how much bigger her breasts are. This rattles Mahoru so that, when there's a problem with the water heater for the bathroom explodes. So it's off to a public bathhouse for the three of them. Suguru seems to know the people who own the place, in fact.
Don't watch me change, okay?
Hey, don't be an idiot!
And what follows immediately? Her watching Mahoru change and commenting on how desirable she is. Apparently the only reason Suguru was an idiot was that this girl is gay. Mahoru's enjoyment of her first trip to a bathhouse is cut short by Miss Shikijo stepping up behind her and crushing the android under the weight of her boobs. Suffice to say, I can't show you much of this episode, not without black bars or at least getting a credit card number from you. After Suguru is done, we learn that he's not just acquainted with the owners, they're his relatives. Okay, well, that makes the whole don't watch me change thing make a lot more sense. We're not going to imply attraction between cousins. That's filthy. We're going to stick with some good, wholesome pedophilia, thank you very much. While he's hanging out with his uncle, the two ladies are dueling it out in the sauna. It's like a game of chicken in that you sit there and then eventually you will look like a dried out plucked chicken. All Suguru's cousins here are girls, so with his parents gone, the uncle seems kind of like looking at him like the son he's never had. Suguru needs a little companionship too, but that's why he thinks this summer's going to be different now that he'll be spending it with Mahoru. A good first step is that the following day, the two go together to visit his parents' grave. A depressing situation, because the first day of summer vacation is the day that they died. Suguru notes that a mysterious person arrives every year to clean the site and then leave bellflowers, but they didn't do that this year. Little does he know the person is Mahoru, and there's a reason. We see why she wanted to be not just any maid, but maid to Suguru. It wasn't just that thing on the bus, it was because his father, the one you'll remember was frequently gone, he was part of Vesper, and during an operation at an American missile base, Mahoru was there with him while he was held by an invader, and she was forced to pull the trigger, leading to his death. After that revelation, well, obviously, there's nothing you can do but close out the episode to end on that note of deep personal sorrow. Well, that was a deep nanosecond. Hope you enjoyed it. Episode 4 continues the summer with Mahoru being so enthralled with images of vacationers at the beach that she mumbles aloud about it. So Suguru figures they should all make a trip out of it. By now you shouldn't be surprised that Mahoru freaks the hell out over the very idea, but in the end blurts out that she wants to do it very badly, and it's pretty much on. Just about everybody who's coming is doing so because Mahoru will be there, so there's a bit of discontent when she bids them all goodbye for their trip and she's not coming. It takes a bunch of pleading, arguing, physical violence, and probably a low-yield exchange to convince her that it's okay for her to join them. First stop is a swimsuit for her, but while shopping, guess who's there? And buying a suit with about enough material for a handkerchief. Yep, it's Miss Shikijo, who's being told to cover up because the store employees fear that her being dressed like that here could give people the wrong idea about their store.
Now I know that prissy little maid of yours with the flat chest must make you terribly sexually frustrated.
Can't imagine why they'd think that. There's a short interlude between her borderline stalking behavior and far over the border stalking behavior as Mahoru reflects on the only ocean that she has ever known, one where warships and combat is found. But she's determined to forget all about that kind of thing today.
Cheese and now!
Good luck with that. At sea, something goes very wrong, and the captain orders abandoned ship.
We were stupid to try to use extraterrestrial weaponry.
Not without reading the manual first anyway, but nobody ever does that. There's a giant robot monster crab attacking, and obviously that's what's heading towards Japan. I mean, monster crab, giant robot, either of those things alone would have reason to attack. Back at the beach, as Miss Shikijo works to ensure that she'll never be allowed within 100 yards of a school again, the crab is on its way. But first Suguru has a literal run-in with a beach tough guy who wants to make something of it. Suguru is ready to acquiesce to whatever he wants, but Mahoru intervenes, only to be interrupted by the giant crab showing up, unintentionally tossing the two guy friends in the raft up onto the beach, only for one of the girlfriends to be face-to-face with it. Oh my god. Oh, did it just eviscerate her? Did it slice her in two? My god, the horror. Huh? Well, I guess that thing is being piloted by a 12-year-old boy. It similarly attacks the bathing suits of the other two girlfriends until soon there's a stampede of naked girls fleeing the crab monster. Mahoru finally recognizes it as an anti-android model, one that's obviously malfunctioning since it's declared jihad against women's clothing. But as she points out, it's the kind of fault that could easily work itself out and turn it into a more serious threat again. She has no choice but to fight and defeat it, summoning a delivery of a Vesper gun in order to put it down. The fight is on, and the crowd watches, including several naked girls and, inexplicably, a mummy.
Any idea what's happening?
Beats me.
Oh my goodness, do you think Suguru and Mahoro are okay?
Look, don't ask me, I just work here. She's kicking some serious ass, but then the crab deploys a kind of EMP weapon that leaves both her and the crab compromised. Only she's going to take 18 seconds longer to recover her vision than the crab will, which means that she's a sitting duck. Suguru comes to help her despite her insistence that he run off to safety, but he says he's not going to stand by and just let her be destroyed. So he'll destroy that thing. It's just that he can't use this gun. It's just too powerful. So she points the gun while Suguru aims it for her, and together they take the crab down, but at the cost of the ramen shop, I'm afraid. She doesn't want anybody to read anything into what happens, so she figures the best thing to do is for her to flop on top of him and pretend they both passed out in this intimate embrace. Yeah, nobody's going to read anything to that at all. The first 4 episodes cover introduction of both the world and the 2 primary characters, plus the role of Miss Shikijo, as well as very minor differentiation between the 5 friends. The 2 guys are effectively interchangeable, and the girls are basically the one who loves eating, the outspoken one, and miscellaneous. This is because the largest emphasis is on getting to know Suguru and Mahoro, and the nature of their character relationship. Episode 4 brought it around back to where it had started, actually. Well, Episode 4 showed us that Suguru was willing to submit to humiliation rather than risk getting into a fight with those brutes. Episode 1 showed us his willingness to stand up to far worse, because in that case, people's lives were on the line rather than his own pride. Yet we saw in Episode 4 that that wasn't due to cowardice, because once again, when someone else's life was on the line, Suguru refused to stand by and do nothing, reinforcing the idea that he is willing to do anything if it means saving others. Given that his father was in Vesper and that he died doing exactly that, it's likely that these were values that Suguru learned from his father, and something about Mahoro can't help but see when she considers both of them. We're also peeling back the layers on Mahoro. It seems quite odd that, with all of the options open to her for her final year plus left that she has to live, that she would choose to be a maid. But we start to learn more and more of her reasons. First, the remark that she wouldn't be happy unless she got up each day with tasks to perform, which having a job does. Okay, but why this? We then get a clearer picture with that flashback of the missile base and the grave. She was the one who came each and every year to pay her respects to him for a long time. And in the flashbacks, memory of a weeping little boy because of the actions that she took. Even though we can glean from what little has come that it was the right thing to do, she clearly did not want to do that, and witnessed the harm that those actions did to an innocent boy. Working for Suguru is an attempt at amends for what she did. Note that she always goes above and beyond with the things that she does for Suguru, including bathing him and even lecturing him about his dirty magazines with "Didn't your mother ever tell you" stuff. Both cases associating this activity not being a maid, but being a mother, because Suguru no longer has parents in his life to do those things for him. She can't undo what happened, but she is doing all within her power to try to help him live as if it hadn't. We're also getting our first taste of the threat that the aliens, Saint as they're called, are. In addition to the opening demonstration of what Mahoro was up against fighting them and the flashback with the brief snippet of the missile base, the fight with the crab, as silly as the antics of the overall episode are, shows the dangers that Saint could represent if it destroys a ship so easily, and the kind of tragedy it could have caused if it had arrived on the beach to kill instead of just destroying girls' bathing suits. So while there's a bit of obvious fan service as the foundation of the show, and a rather scandalous adult figure running about, I think we're off to a decent start here, and we'll have to see where Mahoro goes from here, which we'll be doing in our next chapter later this summer. All hail the Overlord!
that dirty thoughts are very bad.